To get started, when we pull expired listings, we first have to figure out which listings that we want to work with. And so, for example, if we pull all of the expireds today, so when we log into the MLS, we have our Market Watch update and it tells us exactly all the properties that expired today. So there are 27 properties that expired today. In that instance, we have to figure out, okay, which ones do we want to target? Sure, we could theoretically be the listing agent for all of these properties, but we might want to have a particular one that we want to focus on. So you could do that, or what we can do is we can say, if we want to search specifically, so if I wanted to search the MLS for expired listings in the last day for Hillsborough County, for no short sales and foreclosures, only single family homes. Now, instead of going from the 27 properties, now I have 3 properties that I could potentially target instead of the 27 every day. So now I've reduced my overall search field to the 3 that I want to work with most. So now knowing that, so now I know my particular targets that I'm focusing on. And so I can even take a quick look through them and say, okay, yep, that's a home I could potentially list. That's a home I could potentially list. And that's a home I could potentially list. So just doing a quick eyeball check. Yes, all of those are something that I wanted to do based on the map, where they are, would I want to list those homes in those particular areas? So we got one up in West Chase, 2 down in Riverview, Apollo Beach. Yes, I could list both of those homes. So eyeball test has passed. I would want to be the listing agent for those properties. If we go back to all of the expireds that are happening, take a look at a map of where they are. They're all over Central Florida. Sure, I could list the home in Daytona, but do I really want to be the listing agent for a $50,000 listing in Daytona Beach? No. Or even in Sarasota, do I want to be the listing agent for this home? 284, not too bad, but it's down in Sarasota. Do I work that far? Or up in Spring Hill? Or even Clearwater, Lakeland, Winter Haven. You have to figure out what's your specific focus that you want to work with. And so now we know who we're targeting. These are the potential properties that we could potentially target. And then we did the eyeball test, and so we know, okay, these are homes that I would want to list if I was to get the listing agent. Now we have to do a little bit of analysis on each particular one to see if it's even worth pursuing. A couple of different ways that we can go about this. Some marketing plans are, I don't care what home I list, I'm just going to call and try and reach out to every single one and develop the marketing plan later. My recommendation is to develop the marketing plan, the CMA, first, and then reach out to the particular homeowner, because now you're armed with some data and some information on whether or not the home is overpriced, whether or not the seller's going to make any money, whether or not it's worth it to even list it to begin with. So that's now I have my targets. Now I'm going to determine whether or not it's actually worth pursuing. So with this first one here, what I'm determining is that it's a new construction home. It's not even a home that's currently on the market. So essentially, this is a builder trying to advertise one of their models. So for this one, I'm not even it's not even worth following up with this one because it's not even built yet. It's a builder's listing. They have their own sales reps. Ryan Homes has their own sales reps that would list this. Not even worth pursuing. So that now we know, okay, not even that first one, not even worth pursuing. This one looks like it is, it's listed by real estate agents. They've had a lot of activity with this particular property. So essentially what I'm looking now is the history of this particular listing to see if we can find any reason why this home might have expired. If there's any reason for this home not to go under contract. So we saw that it came on the market in February and for $275. Yeah, there you go. They have dropped the price twice over the course of 3 months. Finally, in June, so almost 4 months later, they finally were able to go under contract on June 9th for nearly $260. Almost 2 weeks later, it came back on the market at about the same price. And so to me, what that shows is that, well, not necessarily mortgage approval, but usually if it's off, if a typical home closes in 30 days, you can break that up into 3 parts. The first part is the inspection. Second part is underwriting and appraisal. Third part is title. And if each of those are about 10 days, those 3 steps get you your 30-day closing period. So if it's falling out of contract within the first 10 days, 14 days, we know it's probably an inspection issue. If it's falling out of contract in the second, from day 10 to day 20, it's probably an underwriting, appraisal, financing issue. And if it's falling out of contract from day 20 to day 30, it's probably having to do with title or some other issue outside of inspections and financing. So this one we know right here that it went out of contract within the first 10 days. And so we can relatively assume that it had to be an inspection issue with this home. So then they put it back on the market, and then 2 months later, nothing happened to it. So if we see any other information here that might be worth pursuing, we can take a look at the pictures. So just based on these pictures, I don't see anything in particular that would cause this home to fail inspections. Now that doesn't mean there's something behind the walls or on the roof or anything like that. So then we got to figure, okay, so if the home sat on the market for 6 months, they reduced the price, it possibly came out of contract because of inspections. Why would this home not close, or why would this home not close at the price that it's at right now? Well, usually the biggest reason is price.
Okay. If you were to say this looks like a good candidate, and you go knock on the door, what's the best thing to hand them?
This.
Would you hand them a copy of what you do to market it?
Not yet. So I would hand them, we got to see what the numbers are, but I'd hand them my introduction letter, I hand them my suggested listing price report, and my CMA, or my net sheet. And based on those numbers, I would see whether or not it financially makes sense. So a couple of things with this property. So we pulled our numbers in our suggested listing price report. So we have our range of prices in the suggested listing price report. And based on what we're finding, they're pricing the home pretty well. They originally priced the home at $279, $280, which probably would have been at the high price, which is fine. It's still in the range, but it's the highest price that they had. So we know 280 is the high price, 255 is the low price. So now we have our potential range between 255 and 280. Is what the market says should be a price for this point, price point for this home. So we enter those scenarios, everything from 255 up to 275. This is where it gets interesting. So this is where we start looking at the tax information on this home. This home was bought in April 2007, the peak of the market. It was bought for $350. Right now, we're saying the highest we can get is $275. So the seller is absolutely going to lose some money on this property. The mortgage in 07 was $349,200. So they still probably, assuming they paid regular mortgage payments and everything, they still probably owe $315 on their mortgage. Well, here's the second most interesting part. So the owner of this home is Carol A. Newcomb. The listing agent on this home is Carol Newcomb. So I bet you she's a real estate agent that owns her own home and that she's trying to sell her own home, which means that she's probably not paying herself a listing commission, but she's going to pay a buyer's commission. So even with all of that information, we know exactly she's not going to talk to us. And even at the price point that she had it at, she's going to be losing $60,000. So just by doing that quick calculations, we know it's not even worth pursuing, not even worth making that phone call, not even worth reaching out to her, because she's a real estate agent. She's going to lose money on it. And no matter what price point they have it at, it's not going to be worth it. It's not worth it to us to be able to be the listing agent on this home. So now of those 5 expireds that we pulled, we know the first one's no good because it's pre-construction. Second one's no good because it's a listing agent that's underwater. Now let's take a look at the third one. And we'll see kind of a quick history of what happens with this property. So we know that it came on the market in May, and then it expired in August. They did drop the price $20,000, but still it didn't move. So let's take a look here, see anything up with the home. It did take professional pictures and videos. Kitchen is very dated.
Yeah, it is.
The home itself looks very dated. Weird paint colors. Yep. Well, I don't know why there's a picture of ducks here.
I wouldn't put that in.
I wouldn't put this picture in here. It looks like there's a runway in your backyard. I don't know why you put a picture of ducks. They wasted 2 of their 25 pictures on ducks.
You put 52 in there.
2 of their 50, and they only put 25 in there too. So that's something that, one, we could say you have a marketing issue. You have a functional obsolescence issue in that your home just is old and it's dated. So knowing all that, we can run some information and say, okay, let's kind of see information about the tax record. So we know, one, the agent's not the owner. We pulled our numbers here. We did our CMA. So we know that we have a price range anywhere from $245 to $345. Now that's a pretty big number. So we'll probably stick with the median price point. So we know the likely closing price is somewhere between $290 and $300. So in our net sheet, let's say $295. If we say this is the projected range, $275 between $315, we know that this home is significantly overpriced. It was originally listed at $350, $355, and now it's at $335. We know based on our numbers right now that likely price is $300. And they're doing 2.5%. So we ran some numbers here. So we know that based on our suggested listing price report, anywhere between $245 and $345 would be an acceptable number. Realistically, though, around $300 is probably going to be more likely the closing price on this one. Then based on that information, currently the listing, the commission is 2.5%. So even if the commission rate was to stay the same, the fees are the same. So even if they had to pay all your fees, all the mortgage payoffs, they would still walk away with almost $100,000 at the low end. And so at that point, we would say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we believe that your home is overpriced. Even with you reducing the price to what we believe is market value, you're still going to walk away with a check of nearly $100,000. Even with our commission rate, you're going to walk away at the low end a check of $95,000. So based on this information here, from an objective standpoint, what I would do is I would print the net sheet. I would print the suggested listing price report. I'd print an introductory letter and either mail this to them, knock on their door, and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm a real estate agent. I believe that with my information here, we could put your home on the market for this. You can make this much money. If you're interested, I can send you our marketing plan on our showing you our value, why we believe we can do this for you. And so if I was targeting a home to be expired listings, this would be a good one to do it.